Welcome, welcome. Where we
Hello,
go?
hello.
There we go.
There we go.
Welcome everyone to Humpday Q&A. Where we forget how to use buttons again. There we go. How you doing?
See
How you
here.
doing?
Sorry about the late start.
Yeah.
I'm hanging in there. How about you?
Oh, I'm hanging in there. Yeah. Right. Let's get going. Let's get cracking. Let's do some introductions. Let's try to do introduction. We're going to flip this around. Do introductions. So my name's Simon Lightfoot, Flutter Community Leader, CTO at Dev Angels London. You can follow me on Twitter and other places at Dev Angels London. Scott.
My name is Scott Stoll. I am also a Flutter Community Leader and organizer at GDG Cleveland.
We have Randall. Randall. There you go.
Randall Schwartz. I'm a Dart and Flutter Google developer expert. Been that for like 7 years. And it means I answer a lot of questions. But today I'm the question magician, which means that I am watching the chat for people who want to ask us, the panel, questions. If you want to ask us a question, put Q: in front of your chat line. We'll flag it and take them in the order as received.
And Danielle.
Hey everybody, I'm Danielle Cox. I lead a team of Flutter developers at a startup called Artly, and I'm also one of the organizers of the Flutteristas.
And we have a John. John.
Yeah, hey, how's it going? John Weezy. I am the leader, the manager of the Flutter Community Medium page and all the stories that get posted there, and hang out answering questions in Discord and other places in my free time.
And for those that don't know, if we have some do's and don'ts to go through. Actually, whoops. Yeah, go on, Scott. Go for it.
All right. Be nice, be respectful, be constructive. This is not Reddit. Don't post anything that's adult, rude, or offensive or otherwise against common sense. Do not advertise or promote anything. Don't spam the same question again and again. Every time you post it, you go to the bottom of the list. So if you post it a second time, you go back to the bottom of the list. Harassment of any kind is not tolerated. No incels, no misogyny, no bigotry. You will be blocked from interacting in the chat. We will take your name and pass it around to Discord and everybody else. Lastly, have a good time. This is meant to be fun.
Indeed, have a good time. If you want to post code, then you need to go to gist.new and then pop in your description or whatever you need. Make sure you name the file .dart so we get the syntax highlighting, pop your code in the box and any comments and whatever else you need, and create a public gist. And then you can't share any any links in our chat. The chat messages get completely blocked. Stop, spamming and phishing and all that kind of stuff. So all you need to do is copy the hash as laid out in the red rectangle in point 6. Copy the hash from the URL, pop that in the chat, and then we can go find your gist and look it up from there. All right, back to him. There's that. That was it. Nice fast intro to go through.
Yay.
Jumped up.
Good.
Let's get this back up on the. Get your questions in with the queue in front. Yeah. How's everyone doing?
I'm doing well. How about you, Simon?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Did you see the published news that we've got? There's a design doc been published about the separation of material Cupertino widgets from the Flutter repositories. That's great.
I think it's an amazing idea. Yeah, absolutely. Because we don't use Material or Cupertino, and having the ability to be able to have everything we need without having to fight against either Cupertino or Material, amazing.
I mean, it's a good example that I always remember from Flutter is input decorator and input decoration, where when you want just to have an input field, you get the decorator stuff, which is all the kind of the material design decorations around your input field. And as soon as you want to change that, it becomes a fight with the framework to get to be exactly the type of input field that you want, which I think is a bit tragic in a way. I think it kind of also comes back to like trying to do like custom code inputs and things like that, which we've actually done there's some snippets in the gists for anyone that wants to look. But you can implement input connection and actually kind of handle that yourself. Like input boxes. But again, it'd be really good to have like a fundament. I wonder if we're going to get like a nice base one that doesn't have any of the material stuff in there, so we can build on top of it.
That's a good idea. I think that's the idea.
Yeah, I haven't looked through the design document yet, so I don't know what they're starting with. It's probably going to be buttons and some of the things like that, the basic stuff. But
Yeah, in some conversations I've had, it seems like that's where we're probably heading. And I mean, it's the kind of thing that once you hear about it, it's like, why did they ever do it the other way?
yeah, well, I think it's one of those things where, you know, if I remember rightly from the Sky days, from the very beginning, you know, it was designed to solve that like simple use case of, you know, get some widgets on the screen, and material design was there, and that was owned by Google, so they're going to implement it, right? And it's just implemented inside the framework. You don't think about having a separate package and maintain a separate package during alpha because you need to iterate it quickly along with the framework, right? And I think like this is kind of standard behavior, right? We have to like separate something off at a later date because it's got larger than it originally intended, or it's got more complicated, or it needs to be versioned independently, stuff like that.
Yeah, because I mean, there's no difference to using the package versus not once you're actually using the widgets. So,
yeah,
I mean, that's, you know, so like I said, it struck me once I started hearing the arguments for decoupling. It's like it struck me as, well, why haven't we been this way all along? I mean, it really did.
There was something interesting enough. If you look back in Flutter, we'll go back to like some of the alpha builds. A lot of the widgets were just custom render objects. There was no like there was nothing like in terms of like layers on top. There was no. It was just you got the widget and it was a custom render object underneath, and that was it. There was no like parameterization or whatever. So it's changed a lot over the years, but it's for the better. For the better. I think
the evolution actually makes sense when you consider that I've said for a long time that you can't make an abstraction until you make three concrete things. And when we only just had material, we didn't know what else would need to be tunable from that. And then we added Cupertino, and now we had, well, two examples, but there's still, you don't see what's correlated and what's different until, like, say, the Mac desktop stuff came along, and the Linux stuff came along, where we started to see multiple design systems and all the different ways that could be factored. Now we can look back from all of them, as they started with the Blank Canvas project a couple of years ago. We can step back and go, what is really the abstraction layer that we need here? Yeah. And now we know.
Sure. Yeah.
In the chat, Tess mentioned the web paragraph stuff, which was a nice change. That was mentioned last week. We went through a little bit about that, but that was more about again, if those that don't know, we mentioned this last week, but calculating text and how wrapping and all the sort of text metrics and how you do all that is super, super complicated, especially when it comes to multiple languages, multiple glyphs, diacritics, all sorts of other weird and wonderful things that happen with languages. It's super complicated. So having what was happening before is we'd ship the C++ precompiled code into either, I think it was JS or WASM or whatever it was, in every Flutter app. Now we can take advantage with the new web paragraph stuff, the browser implementation itself, which would not only speed up performance of Flutter apps on desktop, reduce CPU over the memory and all the rest of it, but also it means you're going to just ship less. They have to download less for your app to run on web, which is just always a bonus. It's one of those underlying concept things that just you need, and it's super heavy. So I was looking at something the other day actually around. So it's like, why can't you just put like video processing yourself into your app? It's like, well, there's just so many different codecs and ways of doing it, and it's not as fast to do it on the CPU. You want to take advantage of multiple cores and codecs where the hardware's been specifically designed for these things, like H.264, H.265. And it's the same thing for audio. It's like, oh great, I can play back audio with, like, I think it was this actually was a tweet that they someone was asking about audio library, and it's like, great, you can play back audio, which is WAV, right, which is just pure waveform, basically a list of amplitudes at specific frequency, but you still need to be able to decode that information from the original files, and you have to ship that inside your app, right? Like, if you can't take advantage of the operating system stuff because you're multi-platform, then you need to ship inside your app. So these are the kind of things that Flutter needs, are those interfaces to that stuff that the underlying platform can do for you. So example is like the text metrics. So example will be like the video decoding, audio decoding. image decoding, things like that, where you can take advantage of the underlying platform to do all the hard, heavy lifting, and we can take advantage of the multi-platform nature of Flutter on top. We'll see.
Speaking of, I mean, the of the week has not been of the week for years now, but we did get yesterday we got a package of the week, which was Record, which actually does talk about audio stuff. So might want to throw that out there.
Yeah. And HTTP package added support for aborting requests recently, which we also spoke about before as well, which is it's super important. I mean, there's bugs you can get where you've got requests in flight and you kind of like log out and the request, I don't know, to change a person's username is still in flight because it got like delayed on a bad connection or something, and suddenly they log in as a different user, and now you're changing the username of the new user and not the previously logged in user. Weird and funky things like that can happen if you're not aborting your requests, and a lot of people don't manage the in-flight requests, API requests inside their apps, which is right. Oh, answering question one. Oh yeah, well we'll get to that in a minute.
So I was a guest on Observable Flutter last Thursday, and we did a 2-hour live coding using Gemini CLI, and basically did vibe coding. And Craig and I together reproduced in about an hour and a half what had taken him 3 full episodes to get up to by hand. So if that's like a 5x performance increase, something like that. And we got almost all the way through it, almost complete to the way we wanted. And he's going to take over in a couple more weeks when the show resumes, and he's going to do the driving rather than having me do the driving. So that was a lot of fun. I appreciate Craig for that.
Are you doing a part 2 tomorrow?
No, it's not tomorrow. He's taking a couple week vacation. So we're coming back on the 21st or something.
I saw there was an announcement for a part 2. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah. So a little bit of
Speaking of Gemini, I managed to stump it yesterday. Literally, if you take a look at this message, this is the most stubborn build I have ever encountered. I am truly sorry for this endless loop. You've been more than patient. This is Gemini 2.5.
Nice.
Yeah, it's I've had similar stuff with it where it swears that something is working and it's not working, and it goes through stuff, and then it eventually we were talking a little bit backstage on this, but I was doing it with augmentations, and it eventually said, I guess you're right, sorry.
Sorry. At least Skynet will be polite.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've been doing some fun stuff with Gemini, not coding, with just, whether it's on my learning Turkish, or whether it's like being a life coach, or I'm using it to help me write a novel. And it is just funny how quickly it throws itself on its sword all the time. It's like, and of course, every idea you have is brilliant. Even if the next idea is saying, no, you misunderstood the last idea, it's like, oh, this is even better. And it is quite fascinating with watching that part.
Uh-oh.
What?
Someone had Slack.
I'm not sure what that noise was.
There's some background noise.
That's the Slack cuddle.
I'm
That was weird. It wasn't me.
Yeah, no, I'm on focus, but it was just
weird.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Gemini trying to break in.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. No, it's worked.
Defend itself.
It's insulted.
Yeah.
We mentioned the name. We invoke the demon.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, it's just work trying to bust in.
Yep.
And right now I'm trying to make sure it can wait till 1.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, because that was also kind of backstage last night. John was like, he's going to join unless something blows up overnight, and I'm like, that's every week for me.
Yep.
Don't jinx it. Don't ever say that unless something that always happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, a couple of us have a hard stop at 1 hour in, and we are 20 minutes in. Shall we get some questions going?
Yeah, you do it.
We have a few.
Yep, we do. And the first one's for you. I can't remember if I asked this before. John, did you make that sweet Flutter light in your background?
Yes, I did. It's simple 3/4 inch plywood cut into 2 pieces. The paint is as close as I could find for spray paint that didn't have to be custom mixed or anything goofy like that, and just some LED lights wrapped around. So it's just kind of a typical box with the top part on over the top of it, so it sticks out from the wall a little bit.
So when can we
very easy.
expect the Instructable?
There's probably stuff out there, but yeah, we could try to put something together. It's pretty simple. Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. I'm using the HTTP package. I have written a common base client that handles get and post requests. In my application, I make multiple API calls. Sometimes I need to cancel an ongoing API request. Okay. Is this a statement or a question?
No. Well, it's the question. I think the question was, how do I do that? Because I need to cancel it, right? And there wasn't a way to do that until recently. So the actual fundamentally, the underlying IO package, HTTP IO, has had abort, which is the cancellation thing for a request. However, it was never put through to the HTTP package, and now it is. So upgrade to the latest version, and you should have that.
Now, does it actually cancel anything? I mean, are we able to, or is it going to finish the call anyway and then just ignore the results?
Well, I mean, no, it'll cancel the call, right?
Well,
like in terms of your future ends, right, with a cancellation notice, cancellation error. But equally, it'll depend on the HTTP request going through. For like HTTP 2 and things like that, you can cancel it. With HTTP 1.1 with pipelining, you have to wait till the response comes through, right? So there's other aspects to that, right? But if the request hasn't been sent yet, there's no way of canceling it in the current without doing this, right? Because your future may be waiting, or it's in the queue on the connection waiting to be scheduled, yet isn't there yet, right? And this allows you to kind of cancel it before it gets to that point as well. But yeah, if once a request goes off to the server has to reply to it, right? Or the server has to turn back with an error like timed out or some other sort of status error, right? But it's a request response, right? HTTP. So I don't, yeah. Yeah, there's no magical way around that. Like it's kind of interesting. I mean, this is where like it comes with doing like a different type of protocol system, right? Where I mean, a lot of things do this. A lot of like RPC based APIs do this, where you Google is one that comes to mind right now, but you create something and it gives you back a long running request like identifier, and then you can request the status of this long running request every period of time, and you can also cancel it, right? Which is basically telling the server, stop processing this thing, I don't need it anymore, right? So you may want to think about how you have your API, and maybe there's a way of writing it where it's like you do your initial post or get kind of create an object on the server side ready to be processed, put to kind of like send the data or something, and then you can kind of get the status of that processing and maybe send another request to like cancel the ongoing process. But again, that's different to just canceling the requests going to cancel something long running. But yeah, I went off for one.
What? You? Never.
Me? Never.
All right. Inside a single child scroll view, I have a column. One of its children is a tab bar. How can I make the TabBarView height adjust dynamically based on the height of its content?
Look at the examples in single child scroll view. That's exactly what you need in there. Basically, you wrap it in a layout builder and then put constraint box aside the around the column and give it a min height to the max height of the layout constraints on the outside of the scroll view. It's an example that's in single child scroll view. So if you just look at the documentation, it's there.
How does he remember things like that?
Because it's one of those things that always happens, right? When you want to expand the content. And to be honest, I feel like I think we mentioned this last week. this needs to be this really needs to be fixed in the framework in terms of it needs to be a flag, right? Like you just apply, because it's just ridiculous. It's literally the amount of time that you actually want content to fill the screen, but only scroll when the content's larger than the screen. Is like all the time.
Every app. Yeah.
I think though that they're talking about having it adjust dynamically.
Yeah.
Well, sure.
Well, yeah. Okay. There's the word dynamically right there in the question.
Hey man, I mean, you're talking about scroll view. Sorry, maybe there's another thing here. Tab bar. Just don't use tab. I mean, the other thing here is if you're, I think I know what. Are you trying to have multiple tabs with different heights of content and have the scroll change? Because that's something entirely different than TabBarView. So, for example, if you've got 3 tabs and the content of those 3 tabs are at different heights, right? Different amount of content per tab, and you want the outside scroll view to change that height, that's not going to happen. TabBarView fills the panel that it's in, if I remember rightly. And does it scroll its own content? It doesn't, does it? Do you know what? I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've used TabBarView, to be honest. Again, it's one of those things which is such a simple widget to do yourself and achieve whatever effects and things you're trying to do that makes more sense than using like the material design.
There you go. Yeah, so it's different.
So I actually did an example of this. We actually did an example of this on Humpday Q&A. Let me see if I can dig it out for you. That fixes this problem.
I'm just wondering, why doesn't the column just automatically resize and then still be in the single child scroll view so it can scroll if it's larger?
It's the way that TabBarView is working. It's basically, it just fills the contents of the view. Let's put it one to one side, and then we can come back and maybe look at that at the end. I'll do some live coding or find the example.
Okay, I will leave it in the list then to remind us to go back.
Thank you. Let's see.
All right, next one. Can you guys suggest any code security packages that help with things like financial compliance? Looking for an alternative to GuardSquare.
So, kind of. It's annoying, right? Because the topic of doing this is actually quite a complex one, quite a difficult one, and there's not many people or companies that are around that are doing this to effectively make money out of it. The one that's the go-to market one is DexGuard / GuardSquare, right? So you have GuardSquare offer 2 products, DexGuard and IXGuard, one for Android, one for iOS. And what it does for a Flutter app is it encrypts the libflutter and libapp.so files, and it encrypts them each time you compile with polymorphic encryption. It will also inject things like debug detection and rootkit detection and some other protections so that people can't reverse your application. It's breaking your app on every release. Interesting.
Release of your app.
This may be the way that you've got your configuration for GuardSquare. So if you've got like everything turned on to the max, yeah, but that would be the same if it was any package. So maybe there's something we can look at a later date. But for example, GuardSquare offers a set of configuration, a YAML file, which you can configure like the different things it does, like injecting random bits of flow control, for example. I think there's one of them which is just going to break stuff. It's going to slow your app down. I mean, that's the thing, that like, pick and choose your battles, right? There is, I don't know, I know Talsec was doing, TALSEC, were doing protection app security protection, a bunch of stuff like that. I'm not sure what level of encryption or anything like that they do on their device stuff, but it's one of the things that I think is a hard thing to do.
We've got another follow-up. It mainly fights with plugins. So, for example, we just added awesome notifications and it broke the heck out of it.
This will be the same with any of these tools. It's not guard square, it's just not configured for it, right? Like you need to make sure that you're the way that you're actually the two things are working together are done right. It's just complicated. There's no there's no magical answer to this really. A lot of it would be, I would say, don't use plugins. It's like all or one in these situations, right? Where you control what's going on and you can make the right call for your application. There's no simple answer to this.
I mean,
for example, I think in this case, awesome notifications is probably trying to do some stuff in the background before it decrypts like the binary or something like that. And it kind of like there's all sorts of weird, funky behaviors that you can get, but that means you need to have your like Android or iOS code work with Gar Square's library, right? But to wait for it to do that, have to put that code in there, which means you now need to fork it and make changes. But this is just the nature of the game, and there's no. I don't think you'd find another one that actually solves that problem. They're all going to have that similar problem.
I mean, my follow up, I guess, kind of thing with what he's talking about doesn't have anything to do with that, but it has to do with packages. The comment you made, because how can we trust packages if we don't like go inspect all the code anyway ourselves if we're dealing with that kind of a world? I mean, that's my worry.
Yep.
In what regard? Sorry. In
the fact that it's code, I'm running someone else's code, and I'm worried about that dependency.
Yeah, I mean, if you always have to do dependency, it's not really, that's not the problem, right? Like in this situation, right? Well, I don't know.
I mean, but I'm just talking about, he's talking about like from a fintech security kind of worry. I would worry then about, I mean, it doesn't mean I'm not going to include packages, but I definitely do a lot more of making sure I trust whoever's creating it, and if it's something where I can actually look at and maybe not even use the package, I would tend toward that because of the security side of that and the regulations and all that kind of stuff dealing with financial security.
Cool.
All right, this next one's interesting, and it comes in two parts, pretty large ones too. I have 10 text form fields in a single child scroll view. How can I ensure the focused field, for example, the 8th one, scrolls above the keyboard despite using view insets? In Flutter, my text form field is inside a bottom sheet wrapped with a single child scroll view. How can I ensure the focused field scrolls above the keyboard?
You're just asking for all sorts of trouble. You are.
And as they tilt the phone forward and backward, it move the letters slightly.
So what you essentially do is you add padding to outside of your single child scroll view, outside of your bottom sheet, in fact, to move the bottom sheet up on the screen. And that padding is media query view insets of context. That's it. That's simple. And what will happen is when it moves up on the screen, to avoid the keyboard, now your text field is always going to be in focus. And when you focus another field, the scroll view will automatically scroll to make sure it stays inside the view. What's happening right now is the keyboard is popping over the scroll view, which means the input fields are behind the keyboard effectively, right? So you need to do with that. There you go. I mean, we can have a play around if you want to, like live. We can do some live coding. I'll show you that. It won't take a second to implement exactly your scenario and show you.
Yeah, I think we're out of questions.
Yeah.
Other than the two coding ones.
Yeah.
That one was. I'm going to make a copy of that. Right. What's the next?
Well, if we're
We
not,
are out of questions.
Is that it? We have questions? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
well, then I'll follow up. When we're talking about packages and stuff, I'm just curious what you all look for when you're deciding whether you're going to use a package or not.
Is it a Flutter favorite?
That always makes me feel better, for sure.
So it's a kind of interesting you mentioned this. So one of the criteria of Flutter favorites isn't currently published. It's something that all the committee's working to do. But amongst that is also the kind of things like looking at the score and the information when it was last updated, then going to the repo. Are the issues being looked after? Is it like an active package? That kind of side of it. There's an aspect of this which is what the dependencies, right, as well. So how far do you go is another thing, right? So there's actually a pub command where you can list the dependency tree now. Can't remember what it is off the top of my head. So I think it's like pub deps or something like that. I think it's dependencies, pub dependencies. And that really helps in terms of you can then sort of like kind of see where it's going to and what it's using. I think there's just like generally speaking, it's if it looks like it's well maintained and it's got a good README and documentation and everything else, then you can respect the developers put the energy into the product to make it not like crap. Also, you can obviously do a code review, right? If you're doing a financial product, you need to do a code review. So you also need to check the license and things like that might also impact you as well. But
Sure.
And that might just be going through looking at the code and see if it has a bad code smell to you. And it's tough because you need to have experience to kind of like do it from a static code analysis side of things, right? The other side of this is start integrating something, and if you feel that you're having trouble with it, trouble integrating to your product, then maybe their API is not that great, their interface. So maybe try and find a different package. Or if they're, if it ends up being really, really buggy, like then obviously you want to find a different package, right? I mean, that's obvious, but I just want to mention that, right? Obviously, that's the other way to determine if you want to keep it, right? If it's fit for purpose, right?
Yeah.
I think there's an aspect of obviously like the pub, it tells you now how many likes, how many downloads, things like that, which give you some indicators as to whether you should want to trust it or not or use it. But yeah, it's definitely a tough one when you use a financial product because you have to manually co-review that product.
Yeah.
And it's not just that, you then have to manually co-review every change to those dependencies. So a lot of those things are I mean, to be honest, every product should do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of also comes back to those indicators of, do you really need this as a dependency? Do you really need a package for this? Can you not do it yourself?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of the time you may implement a package for a simple one feature of it. Depends on the package, obviously, around what it's doing. For example, I'm going to trust code that comes from Google, like Firebase libraries, everything else, more than I'm going to trust something from an independent. It's just nature of the thing, right?
Yep.
And I think that it's the same. It's like let's say you're doing payments and you're using Stripe as your provider, and you're going to use Stripe's own SDK and trust that more than maybe a third-party SDK. And this is just facts, right? The way it works, right? However, that's not to say that if I'm just using one feature of Stripe, like go to checkout, right, or whatever it is, checkout with this product ID or something like that, and it just launches the whole flow, then why the hell am I using any SDK when I can just, like launch that myself in whatever way it needs to? So there's definitely ways that you can reduce your overhead, especially if it's financial driven. You need to do that kind of stuff.
Also, don't be afraid to using AI to analyze a package as well. My favorite prompt for that is review this code, the entire code base, and give me the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's my favorite phrase now, and it does exactly that. And it's really, it's very appropriate. I don't know how it knows that phrase so well, but it does. It tells me exactly what I need to know.
You say, what's bad with this package? It comes back, nothing's bad with this package. Like, wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing what autocomplete can do, how it can make decisions.
Yes, I know.
Yep.
Yes. Well, who's to say that isn't what we are? Maybe I'm only auto-completing. I'm just an autocomplete engine and just have the appearance of a life as a result.
Well, there is that whole do we have free will kind of debate, you know, from that standpoint.
Right.
You know, and yeah, good old Mr. Jones is also commenting on our package stuff, the package conversation a little bit again, you know, but I agree with what he's saying there. It's like, limit the dependencies because you have to go look and see what they're doing and figure that part out. And I agree with that statement quite a bit. And that's something I was having conversations with what I see with, you know, when I'm working with, you know, 20-year-olds, you know, and the patterns I see when I'm doing code reviews or doing things like that. But I think that's another thing here is I actually think they're probably more likely to just reach for a package without any thought as to what it's doing or not.
The other problem that comes up from doing that, reaching for a package and not even looking at the package, is now you're kind of at the point of when there's bugs.
Yeah.
How do I fix this?
Exactly.
I don't know how it works, right? I haven't reviewed it in any way, right?
Yeah, I agree. Well, go ahead, John.
No, I was just gonna say, it just, you know, looking through the code, you know, especially for the younger developers, you're gonna learn something. You know, even if you do go with the package, you're probably gonna learn something by looking through it. You know, some of the stuff that I'm looking for. Well, first off, you got to decide is what you're using it for worth it, or could you just write it? You know, yeah, it might take you a little more time, but like we're talking about, there's maintenance and things like that. That if the package author's not going to do it and stuff breaks, then it's up to you. So if it's simple enough for you to just write it yourself, then you can maintain it and don't have to worry about it. Things like that. You know, how fast do they fix bugs when they show up? How fast? How many bugs are are showing up in the package that they're, you know, on their GitHub list and stuff like that. That, you know, I'm looking for as well.
I've one of the things I know I've surprised people when I've been in interviews before is one of my things I'll tell people is that my favorite Stack Overflow answers are the ones that are slightly wrong. You know,
why is that?
Because I will learn how to fix it. I'll understand it, and I will actually have a better understanding than if I could just copy live code. So and then you also get the slight, you know, schadenfreude of the fact that the other people that are watching this aren't going to get it. You know, the ones that are trying to just steal the code aren't going to get it.
Yeah.
You know, so those would be my main reasons.
There's definitely an aspect of if you find an answer online like that, you should be working out as a developer, why does it answer? How does it answer my problem? Not just grab it, stick it, and go with it, right? Like follow the instructions and just do it. No, why did this solve the problem? You need to like learn from each one of those occasions, and you build up that knowledge. And suddenly, you're not looking at Stack Overflow. You're not looking at these places. You can make the right choices yourself, right?
Yeah.
All right. Next question. We have a few now. Will you continue with the scroll position preservation work?
We did. We sorted that one out, didn't we? We started going on to recycling stuff, weren't we? I think because I mean, once we had we had to have a look at the gist. I think we worked out the thing with scroll position. I'm sure. Do you know what? Yes. I think we want to continue what we're doing last time. I don't know what we did last time. I think we're trying to like recycle things nicely. You know, as the
oh yeah.
Continue with that probably.
Whatever the newest gist is.
Exactly.
That's the way to tell.
All right. Speaking of using packages,
we need to put the link to Simon's gist list in the comments for people.
Maybe we should.
There are some good ones in there.
We should make an AI model from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, make it searchable.
Where's Christian? All right. Can you suggest any packages for security related other than jailbreak root detection? Not quite following the question.
Is there any package? Well, that's what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Right. So town set.
Yeah.
So what you're talking about? I mean, for security related other than jailbreak root detection. I mean, what do you mean by security related? Like,
It's a big topic.
So the term RASP is normally used, runtime application security protections or something like that. RASP, I can't remember what it stands for that. Which are how you if you've got a financial product, things like that, how you could any product is just with so I can find out the initials for this thing. Runtime application self-protection. There you go, RASP. Is what you're looking for. Yeah, I mean, what to say? That's the type of stuff that does it does root detection and other various things, but it also detects if it's being debugged or trying to be broken into and various other things. I mean, what are you trying to achieve? A lot of applications, it sounds good to put this in every app. That's not normally the case because it can slow down your app. It can make things way more complicated to develop. There's several other aspects to this which probably mean you don't want to do it, right? So that's why it's only really utilized by the things that actually definitely need it, right? And most apps, you don't care if it's running on a rooted device. Why should you care, right? What's next?
Okay. Next. I created a Flutter app and converted it to a module because of changes in iOS delegate, and permission files are removed after pub-get. Why is this happening? I think that's the question.
Why
is there a better approach?
I convert my Flutter app to a module because changing the iOS app delegate and permissions files are removed after pub-get. I have no idea what you're talking about. So first of all, if you do Flutter create, yes, it will overwrite things. There might have been some migration thing with a new version of Flutter. Definitely pub-get does not change any files in your iOS folder. Full stop. Doesn't do it. Right? It won't actually update any files in the iOS directory. You'd have to do like pod update or whatever it's pod repo update to get the versions in there updated. But that's you're not. So yeah.
There is something that pub-get does do though, and that is it will refresh. I think it will update if it updates packages, and you wrote into your pub versions, your local pub cache of packages, that will get overwritten. So don't do that.
Well, but it will add stuff to the cache, sure. But what I'm trying to say is it's not going to change anything in your iOS directory.
No, it shouldn't change anything in the repo. No,
it only changes pubspec YAML lock.
And packages.json, I think, still is a legacy thing.
Sorry?
Packages.json or something. There's some folder.
No, package.json is npm.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Pubspec YAML, pubget updates dot metadata and pubspec.lock.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, no idea what you mean. To update of app delegate and permissions is like create. It's what you call create, and it updates the iOS directory. So you've probably done that at some point. That's what I'd say.
There's a follow-up, most recent link there.
He says, yeah, when there's any package changes in delegate files and permissions get removed.
Weird.
No.
Give us a repeat by. Let's do it.
Raise an issue ticket. It should not be doing that.
Right. Agreed.
So I don't think it is. I think what you've probably got going on there is something like a plugin in your IDE, or or perhaps a package or something else you're running, like you run pubget and then you're running like code gen and it's screwing something up. You've got some other third-party code there, for sure.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Never once have I seen that in like 6-7 years of Flutter. So,
And if
right.
Simon's never seen it,
Yeah,
I mean, it's not saying it's
it doesn't
impossible.
exist.
It's
Right.
not built to work that way. So, you can say
All right. Next question. Can we change the app icon dynamically with pre-configured icons without opening the app, for example, via push notifications? I managed
Yes.
it only when the user opens or kills the app.
Yes, you can, and I've even got an example of doing that. So when you receive a push notification,
Right.
it runs native code in your app, and you just tell it to disable or enable a component in your manifest. It's only possible on Android. I don't know about iOS. You'd have to go look that one up. But basically, the way it works on Android is you always have to have pre-configured icons, right? You cannot change your icon dynamically. You can do it with widgets. Widgets are a separate thing, right? But so if you want like a dynamically changing something, the user can put a widget on their screen, and that changes based on some status inside your app, right? Like a calendar or some other funky thing. But with pre-configured icons, what you do is you set up inside your Android manifest file, you set up multiple, you set up one main activity and then multiple activity alias entries with different icons. And then you have the enabled flag set to disabled. And then what you can do is you can enable or disable a particular alias depending on which icon you want. And then that activity will appear in the application tray. The alias one will appear with a different icon. When we tap on it, it opens up the main activity, which launches the app. I have a SDK. I have an example of this, so I can pop that in the chat for you. Made this ever such a long time ago. It's how. So before Android, like if you want notifications and you want like a number, like you do on iOS, like 1, 2, 3, whatever on your icon.
Yeah.
It's how you can do that. Wow, what did I call this? I don't even remember what I called it now. Too much code. Icon. Badge.
I was wondering if it was badging. Yeah.
Oh, Android launcher badges. There we go. Wow. Do you know when I did this? 12 years ago.
We don't need no stinking badges.
There you go. Yeah, you can find it there.
12 years ago. Did you use content providers in this?
Well, obviously take a pinch of salt with whatever this is, however this is going to work for you, right? Because it's 12 years old, but the premise is all still the same. The way that Android works and everything else doesn't change.
Yeah. Now, if Simon tells us it was done in Flutter, I'm going to start having doubts.
Oh yeah,
12 years ago.
yeah. But the thing is, it's not. Again, when you're doing this kind of stuff, I said this before. Like you're interacting with the operating system. You start doing the stuff like, "Well, how's my app icon work? Well, on what platform I'm doing what, right?" Like,
Well, if Simon wrote it 12 years ago, then he is the only one who can answer that job description for somebody who wants 12 years experience.
Yep.
Yeah.
I went back in time and started working on Flutter.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's about 5 minutes early for me, but I think I'm going to go ahead since we're at a little bit of a lull. I think I'm going to go ahead and drop off and
All right.
get ready for my 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
So,
Got one more
thanks,
question.
everybody. See you next week. Yeah, we got a question
See
that,
that-
that if Matthew had still been here, it'd been better probably. But anyway, he also had to leave.
Cool.
So
Well, there's
Cool.
just one. Hardware and Linux distribution recommendations for about $1,000 USD, CPU, GPU, and RAM. For about 1,000,
What?
do you have a micro center near you?
Oh, hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What do you want to say? Go figure out a build that works, and then still Linux. I'm not trying to be facetious. It's just like literally anything. Literally anything you pick will be fine.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I was looking. We were having this discussion kind of internally the other day as people were complaining about build times, and so I started looking, and yeah, I mean, you can buy a mini, i9 with 16 cores and all this stuff for $500-$600 now. So, I mean, and then just throw Linux on it.
Yeah, and GPU is going to depend on what you're trying to do with it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like if you're building a machine, a rig, then any graphics card you're going to get is going to be perfectly fine for doing Flutter and everything else that comes along with that, right? Doing development. You don't need
gaming.
something that does. If you're not wanting, oh my god, what's it called? What's the light ray stuff from the video? I can't remember what the fuck it's called. RTX. I mean, like.
Oh,
even
yeah, I guess an RTX 2080 would be within budget for this.
You know what I'm trying to say is you don't need you could go get a GTX one. It'd be fine. It'd be completely fine. You got all the the APIs haven't changed that much. Things don't no. Speed wise, just get whatever's the fastest thing you get in your budget that works with the rest of it. And RAM, same thing. Get as much as you can that works inside your budget, right? Most of the cases, it's not your CPU and RAM that you even need to care about. Pick if you're doing Intel or AMD, then find a motherboard. The motherboard is more important than any of the CPU, GPU kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, because you can swap CPUs and GPUs on the motherboard. The one thing I would suggest, though, about a motherboard is get something that takes DDR5 memory, because that'll kind of future-proof you a little bit.
I wouldn't bet on that because they've completely changed the way memory works now in the new stuff. DDR5, when the DDR5 replacement, it works completely differently.
But DDR5, as far the last time I checked, that was the newest.
LP, what's it called? LP CAM. There's CAM memory modules now. CAMM, which are flat memory modules. They work almost. Think of it like a what are they called?
See, and those memory modules might cost your entire $1,000 budget. So we're back to DDR5.
Yeah. No, but what I'm trying to say is it wouldn't matter if it's DDR4 or DDR5. The time you actually get to you're out, you get to a point where you want to build another rig, it will last 4 years or 5 years before you're going to need to worry about that.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
All right. And with that, I'm going to have to bow out. You all have fun.
Yeah. Same.
Take care.
Same with me.
Oh, it's just
And I'm not sure if I'll be here next week or not. We shall see.
cool. Awesome.
All right. And I will not be here next week.
Right.
Will not be here next week. Okay. Well,
No.
then I will see you later, John.
Yeah. Family vacation.
right.
So.
Well, have fun.
Enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be fun. So see you guys in a couple weeks.
Ciao.
Okay. We'll see you later.
Bye. So we have one final question.
Regarding the Linux distro, just on this point, just pick any. I'm telling you right now, you're gonna install one, change your mind, try another one, change your mind until you find one you're going to go for about 10 different distros and come all the way back around and find the one that you like and use that. Right? The best thing I could recommend for any setup like this, you want to use Linux, get 2 drives, get 2 M2 SSDs and put them on your motherboard. Have one for your data, things you want to back up to, and then you can reinstall your OS on the other one and change your partition layout, all sorts of other funky things, your boot order and everything else on your one, but still have all your data secure on a completely different device, right? Not just a different partition, a completely different device. So that's what I'd recommend.
Okay, one final question. If my app mainly focuses on Android and iOS, can we delete the remaining platforms? Yes, we can.
Yes.
In that case, if we need again, can we generate that platform? Yeah, use Flutter create dot, and it will create all the other remaining ones. You can narrow that down.
You can also do -- platforms and just specify the platform. So if you just want to create macOS or Windows or recreate your Android folder, you can specify that as well. But yeah, you just I always do that. If you only need 1, 2, just delete the rest of them. Right? You don't need macOS, Windows, Linux, whatever. Just delete it.
I have a script that makes a Scratch new distro, kind of like my version of Dartpad, and it creates only web because typically you're only testing it locally on web. So it's kind of fun that way. I can narrow that down. All right, that is the last question. We can do live coding now.
Kaylee, you need to come on the show. What are you doing? Come on the show. I'll send you a link.
Yeah. So, what was the live coding? What were we going to do? Are you going to continue the preserving of things, right?
I don't know. Let's just see where we get to. I guess let me have a quick.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I looked up what just for those that want to know a bit more about RASP and what RASP is. There's a GitHub article on that there. So
cool.
Go read up on that. Right. Maybe next week. Yes, next week. There you go. We'll have some free, but it sounds a bit like we won't have half the people here. So
Yep. I'll be here.
Right. So let's get some codes open. I love the way like when people that don't understand programming, you talk about like coding, you're like, I'm working on some codes, and it's to everyone else, it sounds like you're like writing like cryptic statements and like
we are
using no, but but you know what I mean. It feels like they're thinking like you're scribbling down incantations and like code and like it's like some cipher from like the war or something. Like
we are. we look at the great gods like Knuth and
the great coding gods. All hail Knuth.
And the Gang of Four and all the other magical people that are out there.
Indeed.
We follow their scrolls, the elderly scrolls.
the elder scrolls of the ultimate four.
Yes, right. The elders of the internet. The elders of the internet.
Oh yes, with what was it from the IT crowd? That's brilliant.
Right,
with the box with the little LED on. The elders of the internet, you could borrow this. What is it? It's the internet jet. Brilliant.
It doesn't weigh much. It doesn't weigh anything.
Yeah, it doesn't weigh anything, Jen.
Oh,
Christ!
Copyright strike now for just quoting lines.
Yeah. It's too accurate. It's too accurate. That's it. Right. Let's see where we get to here.
For people who didn't get the reference, what rock have you been living under for the last 20 years? But really, it's the IT crowd. A wonderful.
If you haven't seen the IT crowd, you need to go watch the IT crowd.
It's 4 seasons, about 6 episodes per season.
I love that. I think it was the very first episode, and someone talks about Gus answers a support phone call, and he says like talks about like whatever their problem is, and it comes back a few minutes later, and you don't want to end up in invalid memory.
Yeah. That was great.
Oh Christ. Anyway, let's vampire guy's the funniest.
He's goth. He's not vampire. He's goth.
But what was his name?
Richard. Oh, Richard's still here.
Yeah, get back in your room, Richard.
That's right.
Right. Come on. Let's get back to this. Right, we gotta do some code.
become of this?
Oh, there we go. Let's get rid of that.
Hey.
So
I see very tiny
it's where we were
cat.
before. I want to see if I can find this. Let's sort out first of all. Someone who was it mentioned TabBarView earlier? Did we keep that? I think we kept that one around, didn't we?
I think that's the one that started here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this one here. Madan.
Yep.
So this was TabBarView. Should we just have a quick look at this? Because I think this is one of those things.
Mhm.
I did actually have some previous snippets here, of various different things. So to be honest, the way that you actually go about this in 2019. So let me launch this open a bit bigger. Is this coming up? There you go. The actual way that you're supposed to do this in, if I can find it, this isn't the example I was looking at earlier. Page layout would be in here. Here we go. Is a nested scroll view, and then you can put your, your app bar, whatever else you want at the top, and then your tab bar view in that. And then when you change tabs, because the tab bar is in the app bar, right along the top, it will stick around, and then the tab, and then the content, because it scrolls, it scrolls itself, right? Because tab bar view scrolls its content. If I remember rightly. Actually, should we have a look? So that really, honestly, just doing that using a nested scroll view should solve whatever problem you're having with the multiple heights and adjusting it. But it's because you've got single child scroll view, right? And that's really where your problem comes in. So you can like fake that kind of maybe what you're doing there by adding other slivers to the header. So you can add like a sliver to box adapter and put whatever widgets you want in there. Without knowing exactly what you're trying to do, it's hard. There's also, we did this one a while ago, which was intrinsic height page view. So it's a page view that changes height based on its content. So as you switch pages, the height of it will change. You would put this instead of your tab bar view, right? So you can use this widget, intrinsic height page view. You'd have to like add a controller in, right? But effectively it's this, right? So single child scroll view, page scroll for its intrinsic height, a row, and then the width of each one is the width of our constraints on the outside of the layout builder. The 48 is to account for the 224 symmetric padding, right? So this would also solve your problem, and that's it. That's the whole thing there, right? So as you can see, this is, instead of using a tab bar view, we're using a row, and we have the height of each one basically. So this is going to take the maximum of all of the columns, right, of all of the tabs, and use that as the intrinsic height. You can always just switch out the widget that you're using, and this would still the same thing would work, right? You can use the intrinsic height. So I'll pop these. There's a few of these in here, so I'll pop them in the chat for you, and then you go like research them yourself and see what kind of makes sense. Well, this was in April, so this is intrinsic height page view. That's way old. Sliver scroll. This one was also another one, which was nested scrolling tabs. So here you got different tab content of different heights. You can see here, and then the idea being that this tab page layout, you give your tabs, and then it would change the height based on that. And again, this is a nested scroll view, sliver overlap page header, tab bar view. So again, very similar. I don't think we need to kind of like dig through these. So I'll give you all three of these, and you can kind of like have a look through. We did do this one, animate partial sheet. This one's different, but equal. This one's quite a bit more complicated. It's custom render object in here. However, the result might be maybe more than what you're looking for. This is like having a bottom sheet with different panels, and they can change their height. So as you go through the panels, maybe you switch with software, or like go to page 2, go to page 3, and the bottom sheet will change its height. Well, just because it's a bottom sheet, get rid of that notion and just put it inside some content. Now you've got some content that as you change the page, it changes its height, right? So the fact that it's doing that makes no difference, right? That's just the wrapper here, right? If we actually get down to it, it's this partial height layout. And that's probably the thing that you actually want to use. So you can grab this widget out here, which is a custom render object. Yeah, and if you just take this layout, you could pop this inside your single child scroll view, and that would also work. So this would change its height based off of the offset of and which child you're looking at, which and then that's each of the columns, as it were. So you've got a lot of options there for this kind of thing. Hopefully that kind of points in the right direction. All right, so that's TabBarView out of the picture. Oh, my dad was the same person who wanted to look at the bottom sheet with the text form fields. Let's do an example of that quickly, and then we'll get back to whatever we were working on before. So, let's grab the usual MIT up, right? And sure. So, what am I doing that for? There you go. Nice. Actually, we'll use material. Let's get rid of widgets. Right. That's with the bottom sheet, right? So let's spin it up on our old device here. So a bottom sheet is interesting because the stuff inside the framework is I particularly like. I end up just do my own. If it is sort of some sort of bottom sheet, depends on the app. Certain apps need certain behaviors in certain situations. From a layout perspective.
Do you think that's because it's a improper implementation of material, or just as there are limitations in the way material is designed?
Yes. I'll be honest with you, I think it's a bit both, right? Like in terms of, I think they could have done a better job, but equally it's strictly imposing material, right? And there's an expectation as to how that should operate. I think there's a limitation of the current stuff, which is what they're doing with at the moment, which is separate off the material from the underlying. So there should be fundamentals around how bottom sheets work that is nothing related to material, like the snappiness and all that. That's all stuff that should be able to be added on top, right?
Yeah.
So let's see.
Yeah, I was pretty excited by Blank Canvas when it was announced a couple of years ago. So I'm glad that they're finally coming full circle on that. And
that was their, I think that was their trial run, and they took a few widgets and they did a few things and separated off.
Yep.
We've had switch, checkbox, and a few other kind of like simple widgets as already separated off.
Circular progress indicator.
Tile, and it's expanded list tile or something like that as well.
Yeah, circular progress.
Right. Here's our application running. Hello world. Yeah.
Hello world.
Right. Actually.
Hola mundo.
So all right, so what we wanted a bottom sheet kind of thing with a column with a single child scroll view. Anyway, what was this? I wanted a text form field in Flutter. My text form field is inside a bottom sheet wrapped in the single child scroll view. How can I ensure that the focus field scrolls above the keyboard? Okay, let's do that first of all. So we're going to have a button in here, and we're just going to have that button launch a bottom sheet using the material design to show bottom sheet or something. Yeah, show bottom sheet. It's modal bottom sheet. Yeah, modal bottom sheet. Right. And show. Yay. Now let's inside of here, let's do my form input bottom sheet. Whatever it is. Right. Pop that in there. Cool. You could also do this kind of thing, like just those things that realize we can also do like right, and then do stuff like that, right? To make it look nicer sometimes. I mean, yeah. Same difference, right? Machine here. So we're going to use the material design stuff, and we're going to see what happens. On closings required. Prevent it from closing. Why is this required of all things? Modal. Yeah. Oh, bottom sheet widget is ready to use directly. Instead, prefer to use the correct persistent bottom sheet with show bottom sheet. Okay. We could use a scaffold. Let's say no for now. We kind of go from there. And then builder here is about building the contents. So come on. Let's do a size box on here. Oops. Yeah. All right, let's just see what happens. That'll do.
Yep.
Cool. Now let's make that. Okay. So, okay.
What blew up?
Animation code cannot be null when bottom sheet enable drag and show drag handle is set to true. This is because, see, they are then required. It does say don't use it directly, but I mean, like, come on. Do I want to just do a scaffold in here and just have done with this? Probably. Let's do that.
We made this secret part of our thing intentionally spiky. You should not hold it directly.
So I'm wrapping this with a builder so that the context I've got here will be the correct one. I want to show modal. So how does it? This is.
You're just saying when the Flutter team finally got around to doing bottom sheet, they were just tired.
I am already tired of doing this. Like this, why is this so difficult? It's now saying that I should not be using this. Bottom sheet, create animation controller. Oh my god, what is all this? It's one example. I don't want a persistent one. Right. All right. Let's back to what I had. Right, let's just do this way. Show right, what have we got here? Is scroll controlled? False. So what's the problem? Show drag handle. Enable drag. Ah, well, maybe that was why.
Enable drag false.
Let's do enable drag false on both of these, and then we just don't deal with that problem right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it means we can't drag it right now. You can still dismiss it. We can add dragging back in there in a minute, I guess.
Sure.
Right. Why is terminal never clean if project? Because I turned it off. I'd rather have the history, because when you want the history, when you run it, when you have a bug and you run it again, it crashes. You lose your history of what the crash was, right? Like, it's a lot nicer to tell it to keep the history, and you can do that in the settings on IntelliJ. So someone's asking in the chat, why is it not clearing it? I need to tell me running it, because I told it not to. Right. Okay, where were we? We're trying to say scroll view, right? Single child scroll view. And we want column.
Just the column with text fields. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. And
then here we'll have name, email. What else does the AI want to do for me? Passwords. Submit. There you go.
Date of birth. Passport ID.
Right. Okay, let's give it some bit more love there. Padding. Let's just do. We're going to call this. We're just going to have some numbers here, because it was like either like 20 fields or 10 fields, right? So field I, and then we'll just do it. That's not real code. We could do this. We could do this though. I can't stop doing that. Let's just do that. There we go. There's our 10 fields in our scroll. Let's give it a, let's say, symmetric padding. Vertical. Sure. 24. Oh. All right. And then after each field, well, we'll just wrap it in our padding. So there's a couple of ways you can do this actually. So you can do this. That's going to put a 16 gap after each one. You could, if we put space, there's now spacing on a column, but in this case, that would now put spacing, maybe extra space that we don't want in between some of the elements, depending on what you're doing, right? So, but that would definitely be more optimal route to do it that way with spacing than it is to do it with extra widgets, right? Because there's no other widgets or render objects or anything else being created that need to be. This is just saying position them in a new position. Anyway, right. So there's our field. So when I click on one, the keyboard comes up, and look, there's our problem, right? So if I went and clicked on 4 got covered up.
Oh no!
Oh no! What do we do, right? So the
Help
bottom,
us,
we
Mr.
basically
Wizard.
Sorry.
Help us, Mr. Wizard.
Right. So effectively, what we want to do is what your is to do it around like this. We say top false. So this is a safe area. Well, it's not exactly what we want, but Yeah, didn't think it was going to do that. So the safe area does insets, view padding, sorry. So what we actually want to do is something similar. So we're going to wrap this in a builder. And I'll show you a little performance thing we can do in a minute. And what we want to do here is say view insets equals media query view insets of context. Wrap this in a padding. View insets. We could do something like where it's only the bottom that we care about because it's to do with the keyboard, right? So bottom doesn't think on that. Oops. So here we can do edge insets. Right. So now if I click on 4, there you go. Boom. In view. Come down. 3. I'm going down 7. And if I shift my focus between each one.
Wow. It just works.
It just works.
Nice.
So, yeah. And that's just adding that now. The problem here is that when the view insets change, it rebuilds everything, right? Mm-hmm. Which, depending on how complicated your bottom sheet is, you probably don't want to do that. So there's a widget that I've created called Child Builder, which I use in pretty much every one of my projects. Which I popped in another one by the looks of it. So I'm going to copy it into here because it's such a simple widget. There's that. Pop it in the bottom here. So this will be in the gist. I'll post the gist of this in a minute, right? Just so everyone gets it. And this is the widget. It basically is a builder that supplies a child. So the idea here is that anything that's depending on this context only runs the builder function. Anything that was already built, i.e. this widget, the child, is already there. This should be in the framework. In my truthful opinion, builder should have an optional child parameter, if anything, right? But that's another thing, right? So now if I put this in here, now we can have widget child. Take the entirety of our bottom sheet out, put that as the child of our child builder. Oops. And then pass it across. And what's going to happen here? So if you look at this, when our form input bottom sheet is built, it builds bottom sheet, right, and runs all the constructors there. However, when the view instance changes, it's registering on the context of the child builder. So only this builder function is run, aka down here, right? When that changes, and therefore it just rebuilds the padding widget and reuses the child that's been passed in, right? So that's just, again, slightly more performant variation on what this does. That is effectively the same as isolating the child in a different widget, yeah. But again, you need to be able to rebuild another one. So we could, again, another way of dealing with this, child. This is because we're using the builder pattern, right? If you wanted to do this with, let's say, we could also do. Let me publish this because this is actually. Let me pop this in a gist. Now, and then what I can do, I'll modify the gist and post the two variant, right? And that way you can see the two versions of it, which I think would be helpful. What's the date? What's the file name? What was this one? This is like bottom sheet with input fields, bottom sheet with scrollable input fields.
Yeah, that's a good name.
Humpday Q&A on 30th July, August. Where's the year going?
July. Yes, right. Not quite August yet. Still a couple days.
That's what I mean. But like, yeah. It was January a few days ago. Then it was March.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
And then Valentine's Day, and then there was I/O.
It was Monday, and then it was Tuesday, and then it was Wednesday.
Indeed.
This is how time works. All right. So there's the gist. It's in the chat for anyone that wants to grab a link.
I think this question is related. This question here.
Oh,
oops,
sorry.
sorry. Yeah, this question I think is related, or may not be related, but it was inspired, I guess.
Are there any tips on calculating media query instead of giving hardcode values? Oh, you mean like the height I just gave of 500? Well, yeah, I mean, like, you know, if you want it to be a percentage of the height of the screen, go for it. So again, this is well, let me just finish this bit, and then we can jump onto that as a
Sure.
then it's a carry on from this, right? So
Okay.
what the person this one here, Verdi was saying here was we've kind of isolated off this builder, so you can do it without the child builder, right? By just having like a widget for it, right? So we could have something like view insets padding, right? Pass in the child widget, right? And pass that across. And now take this, pop it in there. And voila, we've achieved the same thing, right? We've got a view insets padding widget that does the same thing, doesn't rebuild as child, it's been passed in. So now up here, at the bottom sheet again, we can just wrap bottom sheet with view insets padding and remove the child builder, right? Right, because this is exactly the same code, right? It's done exactly the same thing, right? And so instead of using a builder pattern, now we're using a widget that does the same thing, right? Does that kind of make sense to everyone? So if I run that, you'll see it works exactly the same way. Show bottom sheet.
Hopefully.
Go on, there you go, pushes it up. Oh, there you go. So there you go. Can you share child builder gist link? Did you? It's in that gist. At the bottom of that gist, you can find it. It's just this here. That's it. This is the whole thing. It's just a few lines. This is why I don't put it in. I don't have a package for it, because it's literally 10 lines of code, right? And it's just a contextual thing, right? Like it literally does nothing. So, all right. So that I'll post this as well as a edit to that same gist, so you can get both. Cool. What was the other quick part of this, which was
the one I showed just recently? This one?
I see one repo will have link and gist life. What? I don't know what you're talking about. How the link that's in the chat links to the gist, which has the code we're just working on right now. It's not the full project. Each of the gists separate off. Yeah. All right. What was it? Yeah, this one. Sorry, you were saying tips to calculate media query.
Yeah.
So in the example that we got on the screen, we've hard coded the height, right, to 500, just for simplicity. It scrolls, so it's not, not a big deal. But however, if your device, here's the problem that you can have. Let's say the device I was testing on was a Pixel 20 or whatever the next one is, and the screen is really, really big, and I put in the value of 1,200 because that's a certain number. Oh well, look. Bottom sheet's actually limited it. So bottom sheet's done it for us apparently. So there's going to be some parameters to bottom sheet here. I think there's some
maximum
constraints. There you go. Oh, there you go. Look, it literally says if material 3 is set, the bottom sheet will have a maximum width of 640. So that there's obviously let's see what happens if we do like just box constraints dot loose expand. Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Why is it still being constrained?
Huh?
Weird. Why is it still being constrained? That's weird.
Yeah. Wow.
What does
Who
it do?
knows? But this is what I'm trying to say. The bottom sheet, all the bottom sheet is doing here is providing this like it's not actually doing anything. So let's just replace bottom sheet this is what I said about like not using the widgets that are there because it's just not needed. So in this case, we can just use a piece of material, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's do a material with a child. Oops. Of the size box, and then our material is going to have a border radius only top left, top right. All right, a bit more than that. I know. Let's just let's do 18, 20. Whatever. Right. There you go. Look, bottom sheet without a bottom sheet. Yay. Do you know what's really interesting about this? Is it's still limiting the height.
Yeah.
So it's show modal bottom sheet.
That must have
That's going to be doing this then. Let's have a look. So is scroll control. Oh, look. Scroll max height ratio.
9/16.
Scroll disabled max. Maybe it's that. I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe if it doesn't, if you're not telling it it's scrollable, is scroll controlled, then it has a thing. But again, this is just doing a pop-up route. I'm kind of curious. Let's go down. I'm gonna see where it's actually limiting this. This is the problem. Like, look, always private like widgets.
Mm-hmm.
Just make it like, why can't I make it public? I know they can't because they have to maintain it, right? Like there are reasons around behind this, and like, you know, if it's an internal like behavior, yes, it shouldn't. But this is why we're doing the separation. Why we want the separation, right? Oh, that's interesting. So this actually puts a bottom sheet widget in there for you, so you don't need to. I swear it didn't do that when we. Hang on, what happens if we get rid of our material then? Do we still get a bottom sheet? Let's have a look. Okay, we do. So that's interesting. So it puts a bottom sheet widget in there when you do show bottom sheet, right? It creates a route that's animated with that in there and passes over the parameters that were supplied in as part of the show modal bottom sheet. Layout with size listener. Did change barrier semantic clip size, blah, 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 blah. Scroll disable max. It feels like it's that, right? Let's have a look. Render size with layout listener.
The bottom sheet is not a overlay layer. It's just a route layer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd be a pop-up route rather than a page route, I suspect.
Mm.
I would have to go look. So when it comes all the way down to the inside workings, get constraints for child. Is scroll controlled, max height. Otherwise, it's the ratio. So there you go. We either set the ratio at 1 if it's not scroll controlled, and that'd be our maximum height. We can't get higher than the screen. Or we say scroll controlled, and then it will be flexible. So yeah, let's have a look at that, right? So up here we can say
change the ratio.
Scroll control true. And lo and behold, it should max out the top of the screen.
Wow.
Or we could set our scroll ratio? I can't remember what it was now. Yeah, scroll height ratio to 1.0, and I would guess go back and run it again, and there you go, 100%. So both of those two options give us there might be implications to doing these two things, but we're gonna say is scroll control true, just because it has scrollability on it, right? Let's put, where is it? Where's the, so anyway, let's come back down to the actual question, right? Which was which was how do we get choose a height. Can we remove the height and wrap with expanded? Well, expanded is about columns, so you don't need to, right? The point here is by not having the size is it is going to fill the screen, because that's what a single child scroll view wants to do, right? There you go. Right. What you actually want to do is have an intrinsic height. And you can't have an intrinsic height around scrolling content, because actually you can't have it around a layout builder. Will we need a layout builder to do that? I know. Let's see what happens. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to work or not. I don't think it will, but we'll try it. Why not? So that obviously it's larger now. So if I now change that to, where was it? 5 or 6. Let's do 5. Let's see if I now run it. Hey, look, there you go.
Nice.
That's cool. So what we could also do with that is wrap this in a limited box with the max height set to, I think this is what someone else was kind of trying to get at. We do media query dot size of context height times, I don't know, 70, whatever, 70%. So what they should do is, there you go, it's this height. If we had more items, say 10, that we just had, then what we should now get is a bottom sheet that goes higher than 70% of the screen, question mark. I'm guessing the intrinsic height.
Yeah, why didn't limit it to 70%? That's weird.
Because it's not applying, the limited box is not applying the max height constraint to the limit, to the intrinsic measurement coming back.
Okay.
That's the annoying thing. So if this was size box, let's just do size box to, yeah, that's what we would want, right?
Yeah. Just 70 max.
But if I wrap this, I mean, what you could, hang on, let's see, swap with parent. Right, so now we have our 70% height constraint, and if I put it back to, say, 4, should be smaller. Yes, that's the problem we want to avoid, right? We want that to be smaller and not big. So this is max height. Let's do a constrained box and see if that will work. Yep, so that works. So now that's the intrinsic height. And if I put 10 items, 70%. Yay.
Yay.
So there you go. And then we can also have it so that the submit button maybe is always visible as well. So you could just wrap this in another column with expanded.
Or you could use slivers.
Yeah.
Just introduce one more technology in this little area.
One more concept to the mix. Sure, why not?
Slivers and persistent footers. And
oh.
Uh-oh.
I broke it. When did I break?
You got column inside column, maybe? There you
no,
do.
I want to do... No, I don't need to do expanded. Wait a minute. Hang on a minute. I do. I'm putting the column in the wrong place. Like an idiot.
Flutter Universe asked, "Hey, I'm late. What are we working on?" And I said, "Solving bottom sheet issues like many previous times."
Right, and then single child scroll view. Pop it there. Wrap that in expanded. I'm just making things up as we go along here. There we go. So now top is the submit button stays there as we scroll, right? I know. Just put padding all around it. How's everyone doing? Are we learning? Are we having fun? Are we?
People are at least watching. Either that, or again, the people have just left the TV on for their cat, and they've gone off to work.
I would not blame them. Cool. So button moves up with it, scrolls above, comes down.
Nice.
And if we only had, we could actually have. Let's do out, pass that in. Because why not? Use count here.
At least one person's having fun. Yay.
Yeah, good. Let's get rid of that. Oh yeah. So 10 should be 70%. 3, so that was go down there. Whoops. Yeah. And then we can still be above the keyboard. Keep in focus. I suppose the whole sort of keeping it in view for the keyboard now. Like if I click on 8, you know, I mean just scrolling up. I think it's kind of interesting, right? With the button there fixed to the bottom, you kind of forget that, you know, that's how it would normally work, right? It's why the viewing sets work.
Mm-hmm.
If you scroll to the edge, it feels different. So that's interesting. Anyway, right, I'm gonna pop this in the gist as another version of that same gist. I'm gonna create lots of versions, and then people can have at it. That's in there now. If you want to refresh the gist, anyone? Right. Let's remove. I'm going to remove that. I don't particularly like that submit button like that. So I've reversed my mind on that one. Let's remove the column and expand it, so that will break that out. Hey, ooh, that was weird. Anyway, right. There we go. So now it scrolls to the edge. So if you click on 6, it will scroll up. And a slightly better feel to it when you've got something on the edge. Just to kind of highlight that same thing. That's an interesting one, right? If you've got an input box near the top like this, it scrolls down, but then it doesn't account for the what do you call it? Sliver insets. So we want to account for the sliver insets. We need padding on the child scroll view like this. See if we can do that as well. Why not? Media query. Oops.
They manage this in JavaScript. Oh, because you already have a built-in sort of set of widgets, and that's it. We're getting to build our own widgets. I'm just trying to figure out how this would be managed in JavaScript. If people are trying to do the same sort of thing in JavaScript,
We don't talk about JavaScript here.
I know. Well, I mean, because it's at some point it comes down to the same fundamental problems, and I'm just curious about how other programming systems or how Android handles this, for example. I have no idea. Is there this kind of fine Android? Probably not. Not being an Android guy, I wouldn't know.
That's interesting. It's not doing what I expected.
That's scary.
There we go. That So if it's near the top, say what? Let's do field 2. Ah,
I bounced to the wrong place, huh?
because that would be above there. I think this is returning back 0 at the moment. Let's just do. Have we got a safe area above this? Maybe this is being stripped out in the way that show model bottom sheet is doing it. That would be really annoying. I mean, you could fix it. We'd have to pass it in, or you could do. There is another way you can do this. Actually, let's see if it is actually being stripped, and I'll show you how we recover it from here, shall we? So what you can do is you can do your media query data from view.of context. There you go. Dot view padding file. Well, you just do view padding. You don't need the context in there anymore. So that's something that people may not have seen. Not saying it's a smart idea, mind you, but so that worked. So that's actually pushed it down where I wanted it to. So interesting. So what's happening right now is there's a safe area being applied that by show model bottom sheet that's removing the top insets, so I couldn't use them. So what we're doing here is by doing view of, we're getting the base view, and we're building the media query for that from that base view. This is how it does it. So this is how it gets all the base view of your platform and actually builds up all the parameters for media query. So not ideal, but it's also one way of doing it, right? So we can say like media query. And we can root media query, base media query, and root media query. And then what we could do is have this say, I don't think of registers if there's a change. This is just a fetch, maybe of. Oh, it depends on the widget. It does depend on it. Okay, so that should mean we can probably do this. This is probably a crazy idea, but we're going to do it anyway. We got the view insets, which we might as well pulled in by now, but we'll leave it where it is. So what I want to do here is to say only apply the top padding if the root media query view insets bottom is greater than, I don't know, 80. Okay, so it's blank to begin with. And when the keyboard opens up, then we're ensuring that we're pushed down further so that you can always access the input field is the idea here, right? So if I put a field near the top, press the button. Yeah, see, that's not pushing down because on inside. So if I wrap this here, let's have a look. Bring it up.
More layers than a wedding cake.
Yeah, I mean, like people can, you can change obviously your behavior about the layers and okay. Scroll up. I'm very confused right now. Anyway, do you know what? I'm just messing around here. Hang on. Let me just check something up. Maybe my conditional is not working as I expected. Okay. Okay, interesting. So view insets are not been applied to the root media query? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Obviously, something is not right. No, that's... Why are you doing that? Let's do this.
Faraday says greater 0 should do. I don't know if that is significant.
No, it shouldn't.
Okay.
Nice try.
All right, Faraday.
So it will be this value. It'll be the height of whatever the navigation bar is at the bottom. When, if I remember rightly, do you know what? Maybe I'm, but it's still showing 0, and then this isn't getting rebuilt when the value changes. Then, so although we're getting the root now, it's not being rebuilt, right?
So you need a layout builder somewhere.
Because otherwise we should be getting that built again when any of the value changes here. So let's do this again. Just saying this is shocking, but let me just do this. I want to know what
Faraday's got some more there. It's part of padding of, not part of view insets of.
Yeah. I forget which one is which off the top of my head. Yeah.
Okay.
And
we're coming up on the top of the hour, so
cool. There we go. So now so that's interesting. It said depend, but I guess not. All right. Anyway, back to what we were doing, which was what? We can do view insets of. Be better. View insets. Root. Get back to this. And then we'll do right. Let's see if this remotely does what I want. Okay, so now it's pushed down. That's good. Yes, and now the scroll gets cut off by the top bar, right? Because we're pushing it down. But putting this padding inside of the single child view and scroll view should achieve the same thing, but not cut it off. Yeah, and now you can scroll up to the top of the edge of the screen. Nice. And move up like 3. Tap on it, and you can still access it at the top. All right, so this is basically ensuring that all the input fields are focused and accessible, no matter what the overlap is with the screen stuff like keyboard and whatnot. It's a bit messy. Certainly tied up this stuff, right? But the behavior's there. So this view insets padding could be combined. You can make a layout for this, right? So your bottom sheet ends up being your actual content rather than this. So not part of the home bar is part of padding of the view. Yeah, so I'm using view padding, right? I forget If you consume this padding, building the widget that envelopes it counts. See, this is what I'm saying. The value remains the same regardless of where the system is reporting it of other obstructions, right? Which is what I was expecting, but somehow this is being changed, right? Because I wasn't getting the view padding. So padding I was expecting to be changed, but view padding not, right? So either way, we could try actually and see what happens. Why not? Yeah, see, it's been removed. So I think this just is something I can't be bothered going to look for it. We can see what's going on. I'm just going to use the root one and have done with it. Does the job I need to do, and that's the main thing right now. Right. Cool. Let me post that code snippet on top of the last one. There you go. What was next on our list? 1900s. We've reached our 2-hour mark.
Mm-hmm.
That took a lot longer than expected.
Mm-hmm.
What?
It always does.
What is this?
No, not in 30 seconds.
Write your own. Problem solved.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Just be consistent. Choose one. I mean, it really, literally doesn't matter at all. Right. Well, it looks like we're not going to get to the recycling thing. Let's
recycle that for next week.
Exactly. Right. Everything's posted. Yep. So we're good to go. Right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you same time, same place next week, I guess.
166 hours from now.
Yep. See you then. Bye.
Bye.
Oh.